Have you ever seen a bluebird? An eastern bluebird, a mountain bluebird, a western bluebird. Why are they disappearing? Once almost as common as robins, bluebirds are much rarer today. In literature and song, they're associated with happiness and joy, a symbol of the spring season. In the north, it seems as if bluebirds appear at the peak of spring beauty, but a careful observer knows they returned weeks ago. Nearby, they have picked out a nesting box in the meadow. Though it's early for most songbirds to nest, the female has already laid eggs and is incubating them. This group of children on a field trip are excited by the possibility of seeing a bluebird. And they do. Wait, what's this? The male is carrying food. No eggs here, they have hatched. It's a demanding job, feeding and cleaning up after 5 nestlings. But the parents share these tasks. They average about 1 feeding every 5 minutes. With 5 young, each nestling gets fed about once every 25 minutes. It is a busy place. Parents feed a variety of insects, usually larger ones as the chicks grow. This high-protein diet provides for fast growth. A fecal sac contains waste which parents remove to keep the nest clean. The female broods or covers the young with her body to keep them warm, more often in cold weather and during the first days after hatching. She always broods them through the night. Many predators take their toll of bluebirds. Unfortunately, loose house cats are one of them. Another is the raccoon. Nesting materials hanging from the hole are a typical sign of this predator. One way to help prevent predators from climbing to the nest is by applying a thick ring of machine grease around the pole to discourage climbing. Food availability and survival of the young are better with warm temperatures. Insect food may become scarce during long cold periods, especially for early spring nests. But these chicks have done very well and grown rapidly. Removing the fecal sac also prevents odors that could attract predators. Many people have kept careful records on bluebirds for several years. One way to do this is by banding young birds. Banding should be done when the chicks are 7 to 12 days old. Older birds might be frightened into leaving the nest early, thus reducing their chances for survival. Bands remain comfortably on the bird all its life and also allow growth. All available information today shows critically low eastern bluebird numbers in many areas, probably only about 1/10 of original populations. If you find a dead bluebird with a leg band, send the band to the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. There it will be checked with records, so we'll learn more about bluebird habits and migrations. Though banding requires a federal permit, anyone can record nesting success of bluebirds in their nest boxes. All this information may help save the species from extinction. Lawrence Zeleny has banded birds, provided houses, and kept records for over 65 years. Seeing a need to help bluebirds before it was too late, he founded the North American Bluebird Society. They gather and publish information on the birds and show people how to help them survive. Back with our bluebird family, the young have grown and parents are even busier feeding them. The young live in the nest 16 to 20 days, depending on the weather and food supply. During this period, they increase their weight about 10 times. Between feedings, the male catches an insect for himself. His chicks, now within 4 days of fledging, are showing juvenile plumage. Primary feathers for flight are obvious in the wings. With young near fledging size, he increases their food with larger caterpillars. Robins and bluebirds are both members of the thrush family. Spotted like young robins, the bluebird chicks show this family resemblance. At 18 days old, they are ready to leave the nest. 3 have already left. The 2 remaining are not so eager to follow. Feeding from outside the box brings the young to look at the world beyond the nest. The male coaxes with food, encouraging the fledgling to try his wings, and he does. He makes it to a branch and sits unsteadily. More coaxing. The chick wants food. He's out. Fledglings can fly 50 feet or more on their first attempt and usually land in a tree or bush. Sometimes they miss and land where there's greater danger from predators. The male watches from nearby. He will help feed the fledglings for a week or more until they can find their own food. Regaining courage, the little bluebird heads off to a safer place. The young won't return to their nest, and parents may find a new box for their second nesting. Some take several weeks to re-nest, but this ambitious pair started immediately. Their second brood is hatching after 13 days incubation. Like all newly hatched songbirds, they will require brooding until feathers cover their naked bodies and they can control their temperature. Shells are removed so they won't attract nest predators. 3 bluebird species range across North America. The western bluebird male looks much like the eastern, except for its rusty shoulders and blue chin. The females are similar too. All 3 species are cavity nesters. The mountain bluebird lacks the rust color so prominent on the other 2. It nests in western mountain meadows and lowlands from Alaska to Mexico, often in old aspen trees. This 3-hole apartment tree has a mountain chickadee nesting below the bluebird cavity, and a tree swallow nesting just above. All bluebird species have been affected by human activities that result in loss of natural nest sites. Woodlots are too often cleared and dead trees removed, leaving birds without nest holes. However, the most serious problem is competition with non-native species. Starlings, brought from Europe in 1890, have spread from coast to coast. Very aggressive birds, they drive bluebirds from nest cavities to raise their own young. So bluebirds need people to provide nesting boxes that keep starlings out. In some areas, however, another native songbird, the tree swallow, may use these boxes. It occupies a box the bluebirds won't be able to use. Since this bird is protected by law and a desirable insect eater, we can solve the problem by placing boxes in pairs, one for swallows and one for the bluebirds. Since neither bird will nest this close to another of its own kind, the arrangement helps ensure that the bluebirds won't be displaced by swallows. Unlike swallows, this non-native house sparrow will not only take over boxes, but even kill bluebirds in the nest. They must be controlled. There are special traps designed to capture sparrows that have taken over bluebird boxes. Set the trap and wait a short while for the sparrow to return. Meanwhile, check some other nests along your bluebird trail. Regular maintenance improves nesting success. Occasionally, you find white eggs, though blue is the usual color. Inspecting young birds sometimes reveals problems like blowfly parasites. These young look okay. Heavy infestations of parasites can kill the young, but a dry, well-drained box usually helps keep their numbers down. Back at the sparrow trap, the intruder is caught. The house sparrows are so aggressive, they will even build their nest on top of active bluebird nests, spoiling the eggs or killing the young. For this reason, this non-native, non-protected bird must be removed from the nest site and the box cleaned to allow bluebirds to return. Often bluebirds will be ready to take over the box as soon as the sparrow is removed from the bluebird's territory. Farmers welcome bluebirds on their property. Fence lines are often a good place for a bluebird trail with several houses. Bluebirds are farmers' friends, catching and eating enormous numbers of potential crop-destroying insects. Rotting wooden fence posts used to provide nesting cavities, but with today's steel posts, bluebirds have lost another source of nest sites. Since bluebirds would nest in wooden post cavities, Minnesota has a project to bring back the bluebirds by providing special wooden posts along interstate highways. The Minnesota Department of Natural Resources and the Transportation Department are cooperating. And by the look of this, very successfully. The cedar posts are drilled out and installed as part of Minnesota's non-game wildlife tax checkoff program. Just one more way to help a bird species in trouble. People of all ages are joining the crusade to bring back the bluebird. This young man has a science fair project based on his bluebird trail. In all his house styles, he shows the most important thing to remember is to use an entrance hole diameter no larger than 1 1/2 inches, so starlings cannot enter the box. Some designers feel the elongated hole makes easier entry for the bluebird. Other designs include a predator guard. This increases hole depth, making it difficult for predators to reach down to the nest. This triangular shape is a very functional box. Whichever design, all houses should permit easy access for inspection and cleaning. In another community, these scouts are one of 19 groups involved in a Bring Back the Bluebird project. The project leader gives assembly instructions and reminds the scouts to check the boxes weekly during the nesting season. With pre-cut kits, it is as easy as 1, 2, 3. Volunteer leaders work throughout the community, distributing the pre-cut houses and helping with assembly. Not only the Cub Scouts, but also campfire groups, 4-H'ers, and brownies assemble Bluebird houses with equal skill. In the first year of this project, the children assembled 500 houses. By mid-March, they put the houses out. They carefully chose areas with trees, but placed the houses in nearby open meadows. Just the right kind of area for bluebirds to raise their young and find food in the grassy meadows. The boxes are placed 5 or 6 feet above the ground. They will check them weekly during the nesting season and clean them after each family has fledged. The houses are placed in pairs, one for tree swallows and one for bluebirds. Most bluebirds winter in the southern states, but some remain further north even when snow comes. Unlike the familiar cardinals and finches that come readily to get seeds from our feeders, the occasional bluebird visitors must have fruits. An experimental program establishing winter bluebird feeding stations is underway to reduce winter losses due to lack of food. Still, care is taken not to encourage bluebirds to stay in extremely cold areas. Bluebirds may be fed dogwood berries. Raisins are mixed with them to provide more available supplemental food. Using a nest box as a feeder, berries inside are protected from larger fruit-eating birds, while outside berries attract the bluebirds to the box. Although expensive and still experimental, it may become an important part of reducing winter losses. Will there be a nest box waiting for the bluebirds returning to your community this spring? Bluebirds need our help today. It is a species that can be restored to plentiful numbers. They not only need houses, but also tree plantings like flowering dogwood and other berry-producing shrubs to help provide winter food. In today's world, we rarely have an opportunity like this to help prevent another species from vanishing from the earth. We can bring back the bluebird if you will help.